Confession. In 2020, during peak COVID, I befriended a squirrel. She would come to my window, tap on it, and I would spoon feed her nuts through a crack in the bottom. I know I should not feed wild animals, but I couldn't help it. I've always wanted a squirrel friend. And I'm not alone. 29th US President William Harding had a pet squirrel named Pete. During the 18th and 19th centuries, rich folks in the US gave their kids squirrels. Farther back, paintings from medieval Europe show people accompanied by squirrels wearing jeweled collars and leashes. Worried that nuns were paying more attention to their pets than monastic duties, bishops issued prohibitions against nuns keeping squirrels, birds, and dogs. When you stop and think about it, keeping squirrels, or any pets for that matter, is weird from an evolutionary perspective. People share their food, shelter, time, and other resources with another species. Nature has plenty of examples of symbiotic relationships, different species that sort of team up for mutually beneficial ends. But I don't know any creatures besides humans who keep pets. I'm Dr. Bridget Alex, an anthropologist and science communicator. On this channel, we explore common questions and cool research about human evolution. Today's question: what's the deal with pets? Okay, let's start with a definition and a disclaimer. When I say pet, I mean animals cared for long-term by people, purely for companionship or entertainment. Not horses used for riding or cows used for their milk. We're focusing on animals that aren't eaten, don't transport things, don't provide products like wool. Animals we dwell with because they're cool, interesting, or cute. And in exploring pets across time and cultures, I'm going to mention wild species, like squirrels, that have traditionally been kept as pets.
Do not do this. The wildlife pet trade is cruel, illegal, and contributing to the decline of vulnerable species.
Mother monkeys are shot so trappers can steal and sell their babies. Wild animals kept in captivity suffer physical and mental afflictions. Birds rip out their feathers from boredom. Carnivores pace in their cages. Unless you're a sustainable hunter, just don't bother wild animals. Appreciate them from afar. That's why my whole "I fed a squirrel during peak COVID" is a confession and not a point of pride. Okay, so if you agree to not purchase an illegally trafficked wild animal because of this video, we can continue. When anthropologists like me notice something weird that humans do, like keeping pets, we've got follow-up questions. 1. Is this trait unique to humans, meaning other primates don't do it? 2. Is the trait universal, meaning it's found in all human societies across time and space? And 3. When and why did the behavior emerge? So as far as we know, other primates do not keep pets. There are famous viral examples of captive apes befriending other animals, like Coco, a gorilla who learned sign language, who was also close with kittens. But no one's seen this kind of thing happen in the wild. Young chimps do sometimes catch and play with other creatures, like little antelopes, hyrax, and genet, these cat-like mammals of Africa. But in all observed cases, the chimps played too hard. They maimed or killed the animals, and sometimes continued playing with the corpses. So there's no evidence any other primates keep pets. The behavior seems to have appeared in human history sometime after we split from chimpanzees, roughly 8 million years ago. But do all human societies do it? Well, no, not by our strict definition of pethood. But probably people in all societies form relationships or kinships with animals, whether they're wild, tame, domesticated, or full-on pampered, purse-sized terriers. And even sticking to our strict definition, some interesting patterns emerge when we look cross-culturally. In one study, anthropologists combed through ethnographic reports written over the years about 60 societies. This sample of humanity included foragers in the Amazon, Pacific Islanders, Siberian herders, garden farmers in Africa, and more. The researchers searched for mentions of pets, defined as animals seemingly kept for some degree of companionship and non-subsistence reasons, that is, not kept for meat, milk, or other products. Dogs were mentioned the most, but dogs do so much. They hunt, protect, drag sleds. Sticking to their definition, the anthropologists only considered 22 of these societies to keep dogs as pets, and they only found 7 where people allowed dogs inside their homes, and just 3 where people reportedly played with dogs. What's super interesting to me from this study and others that look cross-culturally is the diversity of animals kept as pets. People have cared for armadillos, gibbons, hummingbirds, prairie dogs, sloths, and caimans. Trobriand islanders kept bats. In West Africa, Dogon kids tied birds to strings. In some groups, human mothers breastfed their pets. That study of 60 societies found women in 4 cultures breastfed puppies. Yanomami mothers did it with monkeys, and Tlingit people of the Pacific Northwest breastfed bear cubs. They had to get rid of the bears after cubhood, though. In an interview published in 1972, one Tlingit community member recalled, "My brother used to bring home black and brown bear cubs. My mother fed them with her breast as a pet for me. My father made a cage for them. I used to pack them around like a baby. They would follow us to the beach like dogs. But when they got older, they got angry. They scratched my maw and snapped at me, and they shot them." Okay, so what are the important takeaways from this survey of pets across different societies? Beliefs about pets, whether to have them at all or which creatures deserve affection, varies considerably across cultures and also across time. For instance, in the US, by the 2010s, about 2/3 of households reported having pets. But pet keeping among average folks, not just the rich, only became common after World War II. Okay, keeping pets, yes, seems to be unique to humans. The practice is widespread, but not universal, and definitely culturally variable. So why does anyone do it? Shouldn't we be predisposed, evolved to compete with other species for resources? Over the years, anthropologists have proposed some explanations that suggest pet ownership is adaptive or increases a person's chances of surviving and reproducing. As support, proponents have pointed to studies showing that pets improve people's physical and mental health. But that research is a mixed bag. It's not clear that a pet improves health or longevity more than happy relationships with other humans. And there's obvious health risks from pets, such as dog bites and diseases. Other scholars have suggested that pets have something to do with parenting. Maybe taking care of animals prepares people to take care of their kids. Or maybe the ability to keep a pet alive signals to potential mates you could also keep kids alive. People who favor this idea point to data that women are more attracted to men with pets. Like one study where a male approached 240 female strangers and asked if they'd like to meet for a drink later. When that guy had a dog with him, 30% of the women shared their phone number, compared to just 10% when he didn't have the dog. I'm not convinced. Raising a human baby is 10,000 times harder than a dog or a turtle or a bird. What I do find compelling are explanations that draw from a concept known as gene-culture coevolution, or biocultural evolution. It's the idea that our genes influence the cultures and societies that we create, but at the same time, our cultures influence which variants of genes might be particularly beneficial in a given time and place. So the classic example of this is lactase persistence, or the ability to drink milk after babyhood. Most mammals lose this ability after they're done nursing, but mutations arose in various populations around the globe that allowed people to drink milk after childhood. But those mutations would only be particularly beneficial if you lived in a society that had domesticated animals that you could milk, like cows and sheep and goats. Gene culture coevolution. So can a biocultural perspective explain why humans keep pets? Well, humans probably have some hardwired dispositions that make us see other animals as cool, interesting, or cute. These dispositions likely evolved for other reasons, like taking care of babies, desire to learn new things, or attribute thoughts to other beings, but then get applied or misapplied to other animals. We also have a hardwired desire to fit in with our community and do things that get us status. And in many societies, having a pet can get you status. But which animals are considered pets varies by culture and changes over time. So that's the cultural part of this biocultural explanation of the pet phenomenon. People everywhere follow the habits of their society and have some interest or fondness for non-human animals. Whether any of those animals or which animals become members of the family, well, that depends on the particular culture, its norms, and beliefs. Now, how far back does this go? Did Homo erectus keep pets 1,000,000 years ago? Did Ice Age foragers tie birds to strings? Did mamas 1,000 years ago breastfeed their pet monkeys? Next video, we'll look into the past and see what the archaeological record says about humanity's first pets.
If you liked this video, share it, post a comment, and subscribe at Origins Bridget Alex.